Nine Tigers, how are we doing? I hope we're doing well. Welcome to the first video of the Tigers Hub YouTube channel. It's a bit weird how I'm only doing this now since there's literally 7 games left of the championship. We're basically near the end of the season. But I thought, better late than never, especially since we're in the international break. If you're wondering why my wall is painted red, don't ask why. It was just a regrettable COVID decision that I made. Everyone's made one. I know it kind of makes me look like a bit of a psychopath, to be honest. But we're not here to talk about the next serial killer. We're here to talk about the greatest team in the bloody world, which is Hull City. Because they have had one hell of a season, and I'm very much glad that I support such a great team, despite all the crazy up and down segments we've had through the last 10 years. We're in the playoffs in 5th place, which no one would have predicted this season. And that's what we're going to be focusing on, because a lot of teams, a lot of championship followers, or just general football fans have been heavily surprised how Hull are actually in the top 6 in the first place. I mean, we were heavily predicted to get relegated this season by a lot of championship followers, teams, predictors, etc. I mean, I know last season we only just survived based on goal difference. Thank God Tree scored in that 1-1 draw against Pompey. But there was a lot of things as well which kind of led people to think that we weren't going to be in this spot in the first place anyway. We've had a transfer embargo, of course, this season, so the winter and summer transfer windows haven't exactly gone our way, but we have been careful with the signings which I've made, which, if anything, the transfer embargo has been a positive for Hull, despite it on paper looking like it really should be a disadvantage, especially if any team has a transfer embargo. It just seems like such a negative, and the fact that the teams are going to go downhill because they cannot spend any transfer fees. Yet for us, it's been a positive because we are literally the most unpredictable team, I think, in the whole of English football. Now, in terms of thinking, well, how? How are we 5th in the championship with 7 matches to go? Well, first of all, I really do think that we've gained a lot of points from teams who are currently in the top 7 or top 8 of the league so far. I mean, you're looking at the table right now, especially in the top half. Coventry in first. We haven't played them twice just yet, but in the first game of the season, we drew 0-0, which, looking back at it now, isn't really a bad result. Yes, we did get thumped 4-1 by Middlesbrough at home, but then we managed to win away 1-0. A lot of salty Middlesbrough fans would have seen that, that's for sure. We got beat by Ipswich Town twice, which wasn't exactly great. We did beat Millwall 3-1, only to then lose to them 3-1 afterwards, which, to be fair, I don't really understand to this day how we lost that match. We've done a double over Southampton, getting an incredible 3-1 victory, followed by an amazing defensive masterclass, which allowed us to win 2-1. We beat Wrexham twice with a 2-0 win, followed by a 2-1 win, and against Derby, we did beat them 4-2, as well as, of course, losing 2-1, but we don't have to talk about that. So yeah, against the top 8 teams of the championship, obviously not including us, we've done terrific against them. We've really shown that we can be not just playoff contenders, but I guess promotion contenders. Especially when you look at the table right now, we're only 5 points away from the top 2, which is bizarre to say because our form, I would say, in the last 8 games hasn't looked great, and yet we're still in the playoffs because we're just such a good team. One thing which I would say how we're actually still in the top 6 as well is the improvement in our defence. Not exactly bringing players in, but just kind of getting used to a system where we're able to keep clean sheets. I mean, you'll know, anyone that does follow Hull City, especially in the first half of the season, we were known as a team that could score plenty of goals, but could concede loads of goals. I mean, if you were placing bets on Hull City and another team to both score in a match, you were making money, regardless. You literally just had to bet like 100 quid on a match that was happening in the first half of the season, and you were guaranteed to win. A huge bonus for gambling. Not so much anymore, because I guess after, I would say, our 4-1 loss to Borough, is when we started to rack in the clean sheets. We just looked so much better defensively, and it was really good to see because I think our defence, it's not even that bad. I think it's rather good, especially when you've got the likes of Charlie Hughes, Ryan Giles, John Egan, Semi Ajayi, Akin Famewo, Cody Drame, Louis Coyle. Like, it's a good mix of players, and they just weren't really getting a lot of credit due to the fact that a lot of goals were being conceded. Obviously, we can maybe blame Pando for a few mistakes he made, but I think he's been a good goalkeeper this season in terms of a shot stopper, not for his distribution. As the season went on, after kind of that Borough 4-1 loss, we were just racking up clean sheets. We were looking so much more defensively solid until, I guess, making our way to March, where we were starting to concede a few goals because we were losing matches, and we were kind of going back to that sort of stage where we were winning games by a lot of goals, but conceding quite a few at the same time. Now, speaking on the transfer embargo, as I said before, a lot of people would see it as a huge negative for their teams. For us, it's been one hell of a positive. It's because we've managed to be a lot more careful with our signings, not really putting our money to waste on transfer fees, especially when you can only really use it on loan players and free agents. And I tell you what, it's all paid off. Amir Hatzimetovic, who was, of course, one of the loan players that we did sign this season. And yeah, I mean, let me just go through all the loan transfers we've had through the summer and winter transfer windows. So we've had Joe Gelhardt, which he's easily been one of the best players for Hull, has grabbed himself 17 goal involvements. As I said before, Amir Hatzimetovic, who started out kind of shy, but has actually adapted to this league so well and has just become such a great player and a very reliable, crucial player to our squad. We've had John Lundstrom, who of course was a big name in the Championship. Coming from Turkey, it looks rather promising. He's not been great overall this season, but recently he's not done too bad. Toby Collier, who is just yet to be fully fit. We're hoping he will be after the international break because he's just been full of injuries. Obviously, we've got him in the winter transfer window. And West Brom were rather unlucky with him since, of course, he was injured and he didn't seem like a bad player, but of course wasn't doing well, maybe because of the injury. Also, he signed Joe Ndala in the summer, who I don't think was too bad. He wasn't great really as a winger. I just didn't think he had the best abilities to really be a part of such a top Championship team. That's just me being honest. But he was very effective in some games, so you've got to give some credit for that. And then, especially in the winter transfer window, when we got Lewis Kumas and Yu Hirakawa, two incredible wingers in my opinion. Yu Hirakawa, coming from Bristol City, was an amazing loan signing. It's just a shame he got injured and is out for the rest of the season. That is just heartbreaking because he was already a fan favourite as soon as he came in. And Lewis Kumas, who was heavily critiqued for his performances with Birmingham City, and I guess with last season with Stoke City as well. He just wasn't really, he wasn't seen as a good player, put it that way. But ever since he's come to Hull, he's really been able to shine. He's actually scored a few goals, which I don't think many were expecting. It took me quite a few weeks to actually kind of like him because, again, it's so easy to kind of latch onto someone that's a really good player just because they scored on their debut. But over time, he's definitely got more better. And as I said, kind of comparing to Amir Hatzimetovic, he's really adapted well to the team, as well as the league. Then you've got free transfers, and I'm not going to explain any of these. I'm literally just going to quick-fire go through them, because you've got Ollie McBurney, a man with the most goal involvements in the Championship this season. We've got Semi Ajayi, who's just a well-experienced Championship defender, along with Akin Famewo, who, in my opinion, if we're looking at the most underrated Hull City players, I think is one of them, considering that he is a centre-half, but has had to play left-back for quite a long time, literally to replace an injured Ryan Giles, for instance. Also, you've got Darko Giarbi, Enis Destan, who scored a few goals before, well, going on loan in the winter. Paddy McNair, you've got Dylan Phillips, who really was only a hero for the Blackburn Rovers FA Cup game, but hey, at least he was there to end the cup curse. Kieran Dowell, and then everyone's favourite, who unfortunately cannot play because he's not been registered for the rest of the season, David Akintola. What a bloke. So yeah, those signings, along with the current players we've had, have been brilliant. And the thing is with our squad, it's kind of a good mix in terms of prospects and veterans. And I think that's actually what's benefited us so much with this squad this season, and how we've actually played so well, how we're doing so well in the Championship as well. Because again, like you look at the defence, you've got a young Charlie Hughes with John Egan. It just matches so well. You've got, in terms of on the attacking options, like if we're playing like a cam with two wingers and a striker, you've got Ollie McBurney, very experienced, Gelhardt, who's more of a prospect. Miller's got a bit of experience, but still has more to show. And then, God knows who could be at cam, but again, maybe like Kyle Joseph, who again is more of a prospect really than someone who's quite experienced, especially in the Championship. It's just worked so well, and I think, and as I said before, a transfer embargo can be seen as such a punch in the gut because you can't spend any money, but for us, it's actually just been hugely beneficial, and we've actually been careful in how we spend our money. Now, the one thing which teams will find very bizarre of how we're in this position in 5th place is through the current long list of injuries we've had throughout this season. With the injuries we've had this season, the players have been out for like a minimum of 4 weeks for the majority of the time. It's just been so painful. And I guess almost kind of leading up to March, they were all injuries in different kind of positions, like in the attack, in the midfield, in the defence, luckily not in goal. But recently it's been more one position because right now we're just absolutely struggling for full-backs. I mean, I know there's been players who've been out for quite a bit, again with the likes of Ollie McBurney, Joe Gelhardt, Giarbi's been out for a while, Ryan Giles as well. Like so many key players who have lost to injury, and we've just had to be patiently waiting to return. And then as soon as they do return, someone else gets injured. So yeah, we've really defied expectations when it comes to missing players due to injury and still managing to maintain a position in the top 6, or at least in a playoff battle. And let's not forget as well, Sergei Yakirovich. What a bloke. When he came in, no one really knew about him. No one really did. He'd managed teams in Turkey, in Croatia. It didn't look like he was going to suit a league just as competitive like the Championship, and yet he's done so well. Through a transfer embargo, again through a massive injury list, his tactics, his strategy, literally I would say 95% of the time has worked, and he's planned it all correctly. What a guy, man. What a gaffer. He is the Bosnian king. He's done so well. The funny thing is, when he was first announced as the manager, or when it was talks about him being the new Hull manager, I think a lot of Hull fans could agree with me that there was a lot of doubts. We really didn't have much belief, especially when Tim Volter came in last season at the start. We were like, oh, maybe he's going to be great, and he turned out to be absolutely terrible. We thought maybe it was going to be the same with Sergei Yakirovich. That wasn't the case. His win rates with multiple clubs has been incredible, and it's the same for Hull. And the following fixtures we have left this season really could keep us in the Championship, I believe, depending on, I guess, in terms of other teams' form, depending on how well we're going to do. Are we going to carry on some winning momentum after our victory against Sheff Wednesday, which obviously we should have won that match, and thankfully we did. You look at the following fixtures we have for the rest of the Championship campaign until the season ends and we enter, I guess, the playoff era, because we've got Oxford United away, followed by Coventry City at home, then Sheffield United away, then Birmingham City at home, Leicester City away, Charlton away, and then the final game is Norwich City at home. So there's plenty of games where there's teams who are basically in mid-table. There's a couple of fixtures where we're against teams who are in the relegation zone or in the relegation battle, and of course we've got top of the league still to play. I've got a good feeling about that one. I'm quite confident heading into that one that we can get something. Obviously some of them are going to be tough. We're going up against especially the likes of Birmingham and Sheffield United, who are heavily inconsistent in terms of form, especially recently. I mean, we haven't been in the playoffs since 10 years ago, and that's when we got promoted with a win against Sheff Wednesday in the playoff final. Diarme. I'm not going to do that again because it just doesn't work without a crowd. Thank you very much, folks, for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to share the news that this channel is, I guess, officially live. Spread the word. Make sure to check out the TikTok. Make sure to check out my Twitter. And yeah, up the Tigers.